All right. Come on, come on. Picky, picky. We in these streets, in the paint, all day. What's good? We out here reading these charts, like always. Even though this is my first stream. But anyway, first stream showing people how to really look at these charts, how to identify buying and selling levels. Like I always say, I've been reading these charts since the OG FOREX days back in 2008. I had some real good mentors. They probably, billionaires by now. But so right now we're looking at a Bitcoin chart. A lot of people trading Bitcoin these days. And I see why people like crypto. I'm not currently trading crypto, but I do have my Kraken account set up, and I do want to get into the trades on the crypto. And here goes some basic chart analysis. Let's where are we at? We're on the daily chart, and you can see right here. Obviously, we know the whole Bitcoin frenzy. Bitcoin has been going up. Bitcoin is definitely gonna come back and test this 58,000 level. Maybe in the next, let's say, 4 days. We're gonna be looking at that. When we get past this here over bought line, over bought line here, you'll start seeing it test that level. You do have the fast stochastic pointing straight up, and you will have a MACD crossover right here within the next 2 days, which is going to fuel that testing of that 58,000 level. But let's go back and look at some stocks. A lot of people who are getting into day trading and just getting into swing trading really would like to know, a little more about what a seasoned trader would look at any given time. So let's just go to this general watch, and I have a lot of I have a lot of charts that we're studying from a day-to-day basis. Let's go to my bullish weekly. I have Dave and Buster's on here. I have Callan. I got Avis. There are a few that I picked up from my screener last night that are going to be really good to look at. And let's see here. One study that I saw, which was really good, was actually on Callan. Let's pull up this Callan chart here. Let me detach this so you guys see. You can't see my screen though. Either way, let me just make this bigger. All right. Okay. So basic chart analysis and entry point analysis 101. You see for the week, Callan is really high up. They had a really impressive week last week. I wish I would have actually been watching this chart beforehand, and I would have been able to capitalize these last couple weeks on this. But let's go to the daily, right? And you see, they're really overbought here. And that's going to see a retracement, definitely see a retracement probably this week, which is going to be a bummer because this week is set to see a recovery from most of the market. And so stocks like this that did, or I would say, were able to see recovery during the downtrending market last week and the week before. I mean, that's really impressive. These were those haven stocks that people were able to really still get value from while the market was in retracement mode. But let's look at this previous session that happened on Friday, for example. And this is where a lot of the education is going to come from. On these sessions, you're really going to focus the 5-minute chart here. The 5-minute chart is definitely going to be your bread and butter for your intraday or your day trade. And so this daily chart is going to identify your levels of a daily and weekly direction. And that's what you want to determine first. You want to determine your basic direction. Because when you determine that basic direction, it's going to be a lot easier to identify your entry and exit. and target levels that you want to actually look at. And so right here, what we're going to see is what you would have done on this session to make money. And so this is we're looking at an entire session here from open to close, and where your entry and exit would have been at on this particular day, on this particular chart, on this particular stock. And so, as a general rule, I like to say, starting out looking at your minute and looking at your 5 minute chart. And that way, in the beginning of the day, you'll see where, what type of volume and what type of direction you may possibly be going in at the beginning of market open. On Friday, we didn't see a lot of the trades really develop until noon. It was a late development day, but there was some value here. So what we're going to look at here is the choppiness. See, I would not have been able to get in on this trade. Whenever you see a long candle on a 5 minute chart like this, you're usually going to have a bounce reversal just because traders are trying to get in on that bounce. And you see people bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, if you were daring, you may have wanted to just take a bet on that bounce. And maybe around here, if you didn't take your profit out here, around here, you would have been kind of worried. The reason you would not be worried at this point if you did go into a bounce is because, look, you see your DMA down here is going to be pointing down, indicating that you don't really have a strong buy cycle here. The buy cycle, or whatever it would have been, your sideways cycle, is pointing down. Your signal is below the actual AMA line, and then you're gonna get that slope downhill. See, this right here is your VWAP. Your volume weighted price, average price, is gonna be very important when it comes to day trading, in my opinion. Now, I learned this from some seasoned veterans, actually, just a few months ago. Your VWAP is going to be a really strong line of resistance and support. And once you go over it or under it with any other indications of movement on your signals, then you're going to get traders that are going to take advantage of that. And this is right where I would be looking at getting into a trade, right up in here. Your DMA is really going to give you a really good indication of the buy and sell cycle. So this is the buy cycle. When you come from a down and go to an up, you're going from the sell cycle to the buy cycle. And here you see the breakdown and the failure of this buying cycle really nicely. And you get a good indication of your overbought and oversold resistance here. And all of this, and these two bars right here, these two bars are going to tell you what your fate is going to be. Because when they're coming down off of the VWAP right here, you're going to see that it passes under the VWAP and also passes under the middle line of the Elliott wave. So you have two type of traders, two groups of traders that are getting a sell signal. You got the Elliott wave traders as well as the VWAP traders, and as well as your indicators here. Your vortex, your buy-sell vortex is going to switch over. It's going to get a crossover right here. And once you get that crossover on that vortex, that's a third group of trader that uses this indicator. And you got a really good momentum there when you got to understand different groups of traders looking at different indicators. And when you get a lineup, this is why I do use more indicators than this. You will see some of my screenshots that I'll pull up looking at some of the really technical stuff that I do look at. I also do have an Ichimoku chart set up over here to my left, and I have I'll use things such as Elder Force, Coppet Curve, Detrended Price Oscillator, the Depot. On this chart, I don't even have a MACD, but on that chart, I do have my MACD set up. I do have my RSI. I do have my stochastic RSI, as well as my Elliott wave form oscillator. And I do use those in tandem, and I will show those I may show those here in just a moment because I actually use my phone here. If you take a look at what I got set up here, you'll see right here. Let's just look at, you see right here, I have Webull pulled up, and I'll pull up my general watch, and actually, let's not pull up the general, let's pull up what I have up, bullish weekly, and then I'll go to Callan, and right here, when I go to my 5-minute chart, you can see that I really am looking at a whole lot. I have my Fibonacci, like I said, the Elder Force. Let's see here if I can get this to where you can see it. Very difficult. All right, and I'll share some of these screenshots. And here you can see, like I said, that's the depot, that's the Copic. I got Elder Force. I have a lot of stuff on the actual main chart, mostly the fib indicators, and I have parabolics. Parabolics help me just get an extra visual. I like to think of this as a digital algorithm. Like if a computer was making a trade, I almost imagine that it would be looking at all of this information. And so that's why I have my chart set up this way. And I use a lot of cross-referencing. There's my Elliott wave. The KDJ is what I call my early oscillator. It'll give you an early indication of a buy and sell cycle. So for instance, right here, where you see that KDJ kind of go up and then come down, that is, let me see here. Let me see if I can transition you over to where you can see this. Sorry about that. Let's get you a quick transition here. And yeah, so right here where you see this at that point when you would possibly go into the sell and try to make some money because you do have a certain indication here of a crossover and a downtrend. Like I said, your DMA is going to be facing down. And I'll share a lot more of these as I continue with the education side of the trading. So let me go back to the chart here. And so with that being said, this is where I would have gotten in because again, we're underneath the middle Elliott wave. That right there, that cross under the Elliott wave on the 5-minute, and it secures the downward confirmation here. And that's when you're going to see an extension of that move. Let's just say you did wait until the confirmation. You would have gotten a quick little $36 to around the $34, $2 on 30 something. That'll give you a couple percent there on an option, all depending on what option strike price you could find there on a put. You could go in and make some really good money. See, and a lot of people would like to get verification on when to take the profit on a sell. Like, okay, when do you know this reversal is going to happen? You have to rely on your indicators for that as well. As we see, I do have 3 main indicators here. Something is being left off on my video here. Give me just a moment. I can fix my indicators here. What is happening here? What is this? Somehow it ended up really big there. There we go. There we go. A lot better. Still not perfect, but a lot better. Okay. Alrighty. Let's cut back to that. And now you can actually see the indicator. Sorry about that. All right. So again, this is your overbought and oversold level here. Then you have your vortex here and your DMA down here. Sorry about that you guys couldn't see that. If you guys are watching, I'm just starting. I'm providing a lot of education here. You'll see coming up in the next few days. We're gonna have some really good trade ideas and strategies coming up in the next week. Tomorrow, I'll probably be back on just for a live analysis of market levels. And like I said, this is where you would have gotten in, and this is where you've sold. Now, getting out of your position here. What I'm looking at for getting out of a position is the curving of this DMA here. When you see this start to curve back in, I really like to use the minute chart to discover my in and out on this, because the minute chart is going to allow you a lot better analysis when it comes to getting that sweet spot that you're looking for. Uh-oh. All right, so this is your minute chart. And so what you would have been looking at is this. What you're looking at is this right here. And look at how precise you can actually get on the minute chart. And you see, if you're really trying to squeeze that last bit of profit, knowing me, I probably would have left out right here, because if I'm in a good stretch of profit and it came really fast, I know that I'm gonna have more trades to make. I know that there are more charts that I can look at that might be more primed. And so if I'm in a trade and I do see profit and I do see it kind of level out like this right here, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. Usually if you get a 2 or a 3 strike on a really good downward movement or upward movement in your overbought or oversold, that's a good indication that is going to be your final draw of the profit there, as well as looking at your vortex, and you can see your selling pressure is getting lower here. See, all while this downward is happening right here, your selling pressure is lowering, even though it's still moving price action downward. Your selling pressure is lowering. Your buy pressure is your buy volume is getting higher. And so right here, when you're going towards this crossover, this is what you don't like to see when you're looking at profit taking, is crossing back into the opposite side. And this would have spooked me a little bit. And somewhere up in here, I definitely would have taken that profit, especially at such a wide opening on your vortex here and your second draw or third draw here of your curve. You see how this had to go all the way up to the overbought, which if you are a risk taker and really want to squeeze that last little bit of profit out of a trade, you could wait for it to hit the middle line on the Elliott, right? And see what it does. See, you have a lot of resistance here because you have that Elliott middle line as well as the overbought here, which should indicate that you are closing out or bouncing back off of that resistance there and then coming back down, and you get another big drawdown right there. Take profit, and so that's just one good trade idea. And if let's just say you missed that downward move, or you were bullish on Callan, you weren't comfortable with putting in a sell trade or a put on Callan, you would have waited for this, and you would have waited for this bottom market here. In any rate, looking for a call or looking for a buy on this chart, on this session, which happened on Friday, you would have been looking at this. This could have been a buy signal for you, but this is actually this is a weak buy signal, especially for it being on the minute chart. You definitely want to go to your 5-minute chart to look at what. Let's go over here, scroll. Look at what it's really doing. And right here, this 5-minute bar here would have surely indicated you a buy signal. It's a bullish engulfing on the 5-minute, crossing out of oversold. Crossing out of oversold. Sell pressure is lowering just a tick. And then you see down here at your DMA, you're going to see that your sell cycle is going to be coming to an extension, and it's going to be coming to a curve. And you can this is all visual, so you can kind of just see that sell cycle was, it kind of got deep. Then you see this curve up. When you see that curve up, that is usually going to be an indication of your uh, sell cycle being over. I use KDJ. I do use KDJ to indicate early crossover. KDJ is going to be an excellent early crossover to indicate those early buying and selling cycles being over. So whenever I see a touch of the KDJs or convergence of the KDJ bar lines, it's gonna prompt me to look at my stochastic RSI as well as my DMA. Your stochastic RSI is really good and really important for getting a confirmation on the buy and the sell cycle. I usually like to use 3 oscillators to confirm just a solid confirmation of the buying and the selling cycle. That is your stochastic RSI, that is your DMA, and that is your KDJ. As well as the MACD. Obviously, the MACD is going to be a huge confirmation because that is just a standard oscillator that everyone will use. And with that being said, boom, you're off. You have a good bullish engulfing. You have good indication of the sell cycle being over. You're going to get in that trade. You're going to be going up on this right out of that oversold. You just got good rubber banding is what I call it. You have good force for that rocket and for that fire right here to take off. And next thing you know, you're up. What is going to scare you here is when you do come back and hit that VWAP. If you really just wanted to get a quick, what you're going to get, a quick couple dollars on this play. It's going to hit the VWAP for sure because you could get another downward extension off of this VWAP here. But because the market did really good recovering on late Friday's session, you're going to see that most of the stocks did not stick to the sells. They did cross into a buy. And so we did cross back over that VWAP. You see, we did stick. What happens is we did stick. And you can see, that's what I like about analyzing the chart, because you can really see what was happening here. You can see the Elliott traders kind of, they took that middle line and went over and they kind of sat in it. They sat in it, but then again, you can see they couldn't get any real strength because the VWAP was right there. So you see your VWAP traders who set their limits at these prices, boom, you're going to see some of those trades kind of close out and fizzle. And then what you see here is those people saying, oh, we got Elliott support. We're in a buy cycle on your overbought. And I don't usually try to think about the WR as just an overbought, oversold. I do use this as a buy cycle indicator. And so this bouncing and hovering on this line here, this is going to be your buy cycle indication. This is going to be your sell cycle indication. When it's crossing out and when it's crossing into, that's your transit. And so with this crossover here happening on your vortex, this is going to be a really good indication that traders are also seeing that there is a volume change over here. There was a volume change over here for your trend of your buying. So with that bouncing off of the Elliott, it's above the Elliott with a crossover here, with your DMA telling you that there's a buy cycle striking up here. Simple stuff, guys. This is really simple stuff here, what we're looking at. And this is going to tell you the strength of your buy signal and the strength of your buying cycle here. And as we see, the buying cycle does cross out here. But check out something really neat. And this is what I call the failure of a sell cycle. And what'll happen here is, look, you got to the top of your DMA. You're crossing out of your overbought and you're going into a neutral zone, which is going to indicate that there's a sell cycle coming. And so with your sell cycle coming, your buying power and volume is going to go down. You're going to get a crossover to this sell cycle. And this sell cycle is really small. As you can see on here, this red popped up for just a moment over the crossover. And you can watch that And what it is you're going to see that this is going to hit this Elliott here at the bottom. And what happens is you're going to get an Elliott squeeze or an Elliott compression, where that channel of the Elliott is going to compress. And when it does, usually you won't get too much price movement in there when it compresses, especially when it first begins to compress, like right here. And so that's a compression of the sell cycle, and that's good. That means that you may want to be risky and take this as an extension of the buy cycle to come. And so if you were really smart and you were really keen, you would look at this sell cycle and you would see that it's not a strong sell cycle. See, it's not a strong sell cycle. You'd kind of see that it's bouncing off of that. And then you have VWAP protection down here, VWAP support. And so it didn't even touch the VWAP. And if it's not touching the VWAP, then if you're in that buy from here or in that call, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, you know what, there's going to be an extension of the buy cycle after this sell power is over. And look at what you get. You come right up, you get that big green bullish engulfing one more time. And that was enough to get you back over that middle Elliott and right back up into another healthy buying cycle here. Even though your DMA isn't really moving that much, the volume had just been taken over by the buyers. And so there wasn't a dramatic price move. It was just this is what I call a healthy price move, when the indicators aren't going crazy all over the place and you just got that smooth indication of good buyer support. We're going to look at something. Let's look at another chart. This is something, a stock that I added was the purple. I actually added purple on Friday, seeing it in my screener pop up for volume and market cap. And so as we see, your daily is looking really weird on this purple. They had a really good sideways channel here, and this is all tradable. If you look at this, this might scare some people, all of these ups and down days. But if you're looking at your chart, if you're looking at your indicators, your minutes and your 5 minutes, you can generally get a good indication of a spark of force, either to the sell or to the buy. You can always get a good spark of force, and you might not always see an opportunity. But for instance, like this, on the Friday session of this purple, look at this here. Right here, there's no strong indication of what is happening in this early day market. Would not have traded this. There's a small bounce there, but even then, there's no real strong development of anything. I could possibly look at my KDJ and look at my MACD and all of that and determine that. But look at what you're going to get here. And this is what determined going into a trade on this purple chart. And so let's just open this up, get a bigger visual on this. What happened here on this chart, I wouldn't say it's really simple. This is, but there is a simple moment, and it's when you get that bullish engulfing. When the chart just grows throughout the session and it starts developing, and traders start getting an eye on what they want to do, because there are traders, believe it or not, that just trade certain charts, and they're always looking at those charts. And I wouldn't be surprised if people we're trading just this purple chart with the rest of whatever they trade, because you can see an indication that traders knew what was going to happen here. And what you see here is the VWAP and the Elliott kind of support this jump here, and the traders were bullish after yesterday's big drop on this chart. After Thursday's big drop on this chart, they're going to be bullish to get you back up to your, median price levels. And so I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, because some of the indicator is going down. But see, an overextension is always going to warrant a bounce and a recovery. And so, boom, there you go. You got your bullish engulfing. To me, that's a signal. Whenever you see a bullish engulfing, you got VWAP support, you got middle Elliott wave support. You got good bullish volume candle here. This is going into your buy cycle. Like I said, this is not always overbought and oversold. Sometimes you have to think about things in a different way when you look at these indicators. Obviously, overbought means that it will come back down. That's why they call it overbought. But this is a buy cycle. And when you get that 1, 2, 3, that means that that's a confirmation that there was a healthy buy cycle. Look at this again. You see that good 1, 2, 3. And when you get to that third, that's an indication that you have exhausted that that natural harmonic of the Elliott. But look at what you get here in your DMA. What's important? You're seeing your ups, you're seeing your downs. When you see your up, that's your buy cycle. When you see your down, that's your sell cycle. And when you come out of that, cycle, boom, and that's when usually I get in. When I can determine that there is going to be a buy cycle, I'll get excited there, and then I'll look for a crossover on my vortex, right? So boom, you get a crossover of the top the blue vortex or the green buying vortex indicator here, and then you get your bullish engulfing bar. When you get that, that's fire. That's fire. That's a takeoff. And so you got your DMA crossing over, and you got a good crossover here. And so whenever your DMA starts separating here, after you get into a trade, you got a good separation here. This is above this line. This is a good indication that you got fire. You got everything up top here. Everything's going up. Boom, you're in a good trade. It was just that easy. And I'm trying to tell you, when you're looking at your indicators in a certain way, it really does become that easy. Oops. Let me clear myself up here. Yeah, so there it is. That was your signal on this purple on Friday, that bullish engulfing, and then boom, you just got good wave here. And then, a lot of people got out here. This is good profit. I mean, you went from what? 25 to 30. I mean, that's good profit. That's good. Boom. Then you got right here, you got boom, when you come to this candle here, that's going to be, like I said, going to your minute chart is when you're going to know when to get out. Your minute chart is going to tell you an early indication of your next selling cycle if you're in an upward buy. If you want to know what that looks like, let's just take a look at it, right? Let's close this up a little bit. Now let's take this slow because you really got to get this information. You really got to study these charts. You really have to really study these charts. And you'll get a good indication on when to get in and out. I guarantee you, it's not as hard as it looks. Sometimes, obviously, you're gonna go into a trade that's not gonna go good. But when you really get a hold of these indicators, these simple indicators, easy to use, and couple them together and really know how to cross-reference that information. Look, coming off of a Thursday bounce, you know that there's going to be a retracement. You just need to know when to get in. Obviously, the market did do some weird things before 11:30 noon or whenever that buy signal did strike. But when you've seen this chart, out of people that trade this chart, there's going to be a bounce. And look, this is when you're going to get out. You're going to get out when you see this here. I mean, you've been hanging in the buy cycle for a long time. You got a big candle here for the buyers. I mean, that's just love right there when they just give you that extra long candle at the end of your trade. And right here, you're seeing right here your vortex. Your vortex, I like it because it's going to tell you when you hit the real, peak of that buy. Now, even though you hit the real peak of that buy on power, you still gonna get some draw up or some markup. But this right here is gonna tell you on that minute chart, okay, you're still in a buy cycle. Watch the rest of your indicators. Your DMA just did a crossover to the down, but you got support. They didn't even touch the middle Elliott. You still have support. Boom. You go back in again. You got a little sell cycle there. Your fast stochastic and your KDJ is going to give you a really good indication of these small dips and how strong they'll be. That's why I like to use a lot of indicators. Like I said, it's almost like a computer algorithm to me. and it allows you to see what the computer sees, But some people do like the more simple setup. And so that's why on the desktop version of my Webull, I only use just these simple indicators here. It gives me a good visual. And when I really need something technical, I'll go to my mobile and I'll pull up a lot of my technical indicators. And I also have a tablet set up over here with a Ichimoku Cloud and a VixFix that'll tell me some levels of volume and stuff like that, and when sellers are letting go of a trade. There is, there's a lot to the studying, and that just comes with spending time looking at the chart. But I like to really see how these plays work out. And again, you get that big extra long candle there. Whenever you see these two candles here, you see you see everything just kind of, you see the buy cycle just kind of fizzle right here. You can kind of see it. It's kind of like getting up there, and then you get a crossover here. Boom, to your middle Elliott. I mean, once you test that middle Elliott, once you got a crossover you see coming here, I mean, I would just get out. I would get out. Usually, when you get that extra long candle, that extra long candle is an indication, get out. Um, and that's the candle that you're usually looking for, is that extra tall candle, and that's going to indicate when things are really going to just bounce back down or bounce back up. Either way, respectively, and you're going to have an indication of this. Like I said, KDJ probably would have even crossed back here. KDJ likes to cross right at the point of a trend reversal. Let's see here. What are we on? We're on purple. Let's look at purple real quick on here, just so I can show you what I mean by that KDJ. We're gonna look at the. Let's see here. We're gonna look at the minute chart with the KDJ. All right. Just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Boom. Right here. Look. I'm gonna show you this one real quick. Sorry, I'll put screenshots up of this stuff. I'm still getting set up with everything, so excuse my unprofessional. Look, that's your top candle there. Look at this is your KDJ, right? This is right at that top candle. You see the line? Your KDJ is going to tell you that that was coming to a close. That's why I use KDJ. Your Elliott wave is going to tell you right there it's coming to a close. Your DMA is going to tell you that that's coming to a close. But the KDJ, look at that. Even though these bars were still going up, the KDJ is telling you something ain't right with this water. And it's going to tell you, okay, boom, you're going into a sell cycle over here. That's all I'm going to cover as far as chart analysis for the moment. What we're going to look at here is what I'm seeing coming up for the week. And what I'm seeing coming up, stupid camera. Ugh. I'll have a better camera one day. It's not a bad camera, but I don't know what I'm doing here. Know the charts, but don't know my equipment, right? All right, that's good enough. So, what you're gonna get coming up in this week? My main play that I'm looking at is gonna be Walmart. Walmart is looking really good. Let's just go to the general watch here. We're gonna open up Walmart and look at the weekly and the daily for Walmart. They have a huge bullish engulfing on the daily here, and they had a really good session on that Friday that led to that. Let's see here. Boom. Look at that session. That session is really juicy for Walmart. And it really put them up pretty good. They had a long bear candle to start the session, coming right out of pre-market. But then look at how they did this session. Now, when you see that long candle in any direction during a session, that's going to be a good indication that things are going to bounce another way, or I should say the opposite way. And that's what you've seen here. You've seen that long bullish bearish candle, and you're going to see a bounce. If you're into betting, you know, you could almost bet almost past 50% that this is going to go up after that bounce. After a long candle like that, you're usually not going to see an extension. That's just ridiculous, especially when you're oversold. Even though, look at your DMA here. Your DMA actually continued into a sell cycle, which was probably what stopped it from shooting up so fast, because that DMA wasn't giving a signal, as well as your vortex. Your vortex also isn't giving a signal here to the buy until about right here, when they stabilize into that VWAP and into that middle Elliott. And then around here, you can kind of say you're priming for a move. This is probably when I would have got in, right up in here, when it's bouncing off. Because when you're bouncing off that VWAP, that's a really good bounce. This wasn't the best signal here. There's definitely a better signal here when those buy and sell cycles start to really even out. And that happens through the session. That buy and sell cycle does establish a rhythm. And that's how traders determine what they're going to get in on when they start seeing the health of those buy and sell cycles, and how they play out with the indicators versus price. So here you're going to have a good buy cycle, not strong, right? Not strong. You're even going to come out of that on your overbought and oversold here. You're going to come out of that cycle here, and you're going to come back to the VWAP. Now, it tests that VWAP. A stock is only going to test that VWAP so many times before it just takes off away from that VWAP, usually during a session, unless it's flat volume, and unless it's a flat day, or unless there's some weird stuff going on with that stock or that chart or those technicals. Usually you'll get a good bounce. And see, you're going to get an indication of that bounce right here. Boom, you're at the bottom of the chart. You're at the bottom of this indicator. You're at the bottom of the sell cycle here, right here. Boom, right at the yellow. As well as having your vortex in the blue or in the green for your buy. And so this is all going to come together for you, right? This should all tell you that you're going to have some healthy decision making happening here. And when this is going up, when you see this bar here, and when you see this crossover here about to happen, like I said, your KDJ would have already told you that this cycle is going to extend. That's why I love the KDJ. I could give you a cross reference for that, and let you see that at some point, maybe in a live trading session. I'll break down some stuff and bring in stuff from my mobile platforms so you can see it. I can't add a KDJ on here just so you can see it, what I mean. But you get what I'm saying. You know the names of the indicators, use them. So boom, you're gonna get. Preferably you get in on this when you see this crossover about to happen. You're still betting that a good buying cycle is gonna happen. The bearish volume may be scary here, and all of those days going down may be kind of scary. But you did see the Thursday here. The Thursday did fizzle out. I forgot what the name of this candle is here, but that is an indication that there is a fizzling there. And when you started getting, when you start getting these candles, and when you start seeing a bullish, right here, it can't stay here forever. And when you start getting a cross up, you see this did give you a tick up on that Wednesday to that Thursday. This did give you a tick up here on this fast oscillator. kind of indicating what's going to happen there. And you see, they took that signal. Boom, you're going up, and you're coming out of that. And so you're just, that's what they're waiting for here. Those traders that got in on this move, they see that. And that's what they're seeing. It's not easy to spot this stuff, but it's also not difficult to spot this stuff when you know what you're looking at, when you identify the buying cycles, when you identify the selling cycles, and you see what others are looking at. Others are looking at this. This is why you have multiple time frames of multiple charts up, so you can see this. Now, if you're not looking at any of this, you don't know what's going on. But if you're looking at this, you can see what's going on. Boom, that's what they saw, and this is why they got in here. Boom. That's when you want to get in. You want to get in right there or right there. If you really were looking for that bullish engulfing, that's that one right there. Boom, and you still have a lot of upside to go. But I would have looked at the KDJ. I'm betting on this bounce. Right here, when I see all the indicators pointing up, I'm in a good buy on the vortex, and I see this crossover about to happen. This crossover usually happens, and when this crossover happens, it happens. It usually doesn't hit it and bounce. And so when you start seeing this green flatten out, and when you see that cross, you can kind of say, like, yeah, I see that happening. And this price movement was in upward trend here. Look at the lows. The lows just keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it just bounces off that VWAP. You see the indicators, they're waiting for what I'm showing you. They're waiting on that crossover on the EMA, that DMA. They're waiting on a crossover on that KDJ. They're looking at that transit to the overbought side. Boom. And that is what? 127 and 129. Not a lot of money. All depending on how many contracts or how many shares. But it was a good run. Walmart made a really good run. And we should have some really good days coming up here for Walmart. At least to this 136 mark here. You're not even getting nowhere near where it came from for the price target. But that is going to be your price target there in these next couple weeks. And that's it. We're also looking at, what are we looking at? Are we looking at, yeah, we're looking at the real. The real bounced off the 200 EMA, and it is now sitting at one of its major lines of support right here. And we're looking for a transit here to the overbought. And we're looking at a crossover here to when that will cross over and get this pointing up. So we're just waiting here. They had a pretty good, pretty interesting session again. You could have taken this as a signal here for a sell. All of this is just pointing down, You're just, you can see it. Like, again, you're seeing what others are seeing. Traders that are using this are seeing this. Traders see that this is really in a sell cycle. This DMA is really confirming that sell cycle there. And this was already down on the dailies. So there's going to be a lot of sell pressure here. What happens is those sellers, they exhaust their profit. They went from what? They go from 22 to 19. They're really going to exhaust their profit there, and they're going to want to get that profit. And as soon as they see the ending of that sell cycle, they're going to get out. They want that profit. So you're going to see that they're going to want to get out somewhere right here when they start getting that closing of the pressure onto the downside. They see all of this happening here. You want to get out. You see this happening here. You want to get out. And then that leaves a buy for the buyers in that same session. And so some of the buyers, people who buy a lot, they're going to see this transit here. They're going to see this coming from here. They're going to see this transit here. They're going to see this crossover here. Boom, crossover here. And they're going to go for it. And you see them go for it right there. Boom, all the way up to that line of support resistance right there. And so we'll see what they do. They should continue a good upward trend from here. You got a lot of buyers in here who are trying to hold maybe for a couple days that weren't just trading. You can see that as evidence right here because the price action did not tank after that. So we'll see. We'll watch that. Another good one. Let me give you guys another good one for the week. Um, let's look at EA. EA's they've been hating EA for some days now, just like a lot of the other stocks out there in the market. The market's seen a big retracement. Um, and you see there is a slight bullish engulfing. It's not huge, but you did have good bull volume. It did engulf the last bar of sells. And also, you should see a transit. It looks like the overall market is looking for another transit to the buy side. So you should see some really good um, momentum to the buys right there. Again, this could have been a weird situation for traders trying to get in on a trade on EA on the Friday session. This could have been a weird situation for traders. You got the VWAP here. The VWAP is holding that stock down, but you did see a good test of the VWAP here. Now, when stocks don't bounce straight off the VWAP to the down, and they cross over it during the session, you really want to watch that because it's going to be difficult for you to determine a direction here. Even though the DMA is telling you here, the DMA is like, look, we got some upside momentum here. Check me out. Watch me. Watch that, though. Watch that DMA. I mean, look, you did get a good buy cycle here. Boom, sell cycle here. But your sell cycle did stall out. You can see the curve flattening out. You can see this here is at the bottom. You're going to get some upward force there. It did bounce off the bottom Elliott handle right there. And it pushed up. And when it pushes through that middle Elliott and pushes past that VWAP, this is still an auspicious situation right here. I probably wouldn't have been inclined to go in on any of this here. There is the DMA is telling you that there's upward building momentum here. How many dollars you got between here and there? 130, 132. A little bit of profit to be found there, but there was no major I gotta get in this signal here on this one. Wouldn't have traded this on this session. You see, you can look at it in the middle of it happening. You can tell. You can kind of look. I mean, you can try like, this is going to go down from here, even though this is going up. That's a conflicting signal. There's a lot of crossover action here. There's just too much riffraff in here to make a trade. But we're going to be looking at EA going up and possibly seeing the 140 range, getting back up into that support there, making a transit. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. We've been on here for a while. I hope anybody watching learned something. Hopefully be back tomorrow. Might be trading with a couple buddies, bouncing some eyes off of some things and seeing what we can make stick. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed the session. We will be coming back for a lot more information coming up soon. I've been loving getting into trading. I've always traded Forex previously, and I didn't know stock trading was so accessible and so easy as it is. So I actually just started this year in January, and I've been really keen on it, and really liking it. Been liking it a lot. It's been really exciting. I see why people love the stock market. It's really exciting to look at. I'm really excited to trade. There's so many charts, so many different companies doing so many different things, so many different fundamentals, so many different trade styles. And I'm a geek on this type of stuff, and I love this type of stuff. So there's really a lot of money to be made here, and we can look at it together. Y'all tell me what charts y'all want me to look at. If y'all have anything, comment below. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And I'm gonna keep y'all coming with this education, man. It's just really like that out here. So hope to see y'all on another session. Adios.